If you're judging, you're not loving. It's as simple as that. Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my studio drinking a huge mug of water. I had a friend of mine one time tell me, I drink water because it's what I'm made of. You ever feel like spiritual people can be some of the most judgmental people out there? It's very interesting to me because my past life regression was all about remembering the life of John the Beloved. Now, I do not say that I'm John the Beloved. I don't say typically I'm the reincarnation of John the Beloved. I don't think we understand what reincarnation really is. But I will say this. The fact that I say that, I get more judgment than you can possibly imagine. You know, the judgmental people come out of the woodwork to tell me I'm crazy, I'm an idiot, and all kinds of things. And it's okay. That's their judgment. You know, the book of Matthew says you will know them by their fruit. If they're judging, I know they're judgmental. And those judgmental people are coming out of an ideology that's not loving. They're coming out of an ideology of I have to prove that I'm right. You know, that's not spirituality. That's superiority in disguise. People will say, well, they want to argue for their faith. But if you have to argue for your faith, it's because you're not confident in it. You know, this idea of judging others for their faith. You know, Matthew, in the book of Matthew says, judge not lest ye shall be judged. You know, he didn't come to condemn. Jeshua didn't come. Jeshua was a man. He found his way to his divinity within. And when he found that divinity, he found that everyone else was divine as well. He was teaching that divinity within. But, you know, as my mother once said to me, spirituality is a personal journey. Your journey is going to be different from the next person's journey. Even in a church like a Catholic church, every Catholic in that building has a different ideology. They have their own interpretation of what that Catholic church is. You have some people who find a beautiful, loving life in the Catholic Church. You have others who are completely judgmental and dismissive of others because of that. I have that within my own family. You know, this concept of loving one another. I leave you one commandment: love one another. This concept means don't judge. You know, judging others is judging yourself. You literally are saying, "Look, everyone, I'm a judgmental person." You know, that's not loving one another. When we judge others, you know, it reveals our own inner fears and our unresolved beliefs. That's why I say, you know, you're not confident in your beliefs because judging others is about, you know, being right as opposed to being truthful. And you know, you can't judge others without reinforcing shame within yourself, because you're judging others because of that idea that, you know, they have to, if I'm wrong, then I'm going to go to hell or whatever. But that idea is you're reinforcing the issue within yourself by literally judging. Because every time you judge someone, your own inner peace gets disrupted. You're no longer being love. You're no longer be love. Be love. John the Beloved, right? Be love. To be love means that you don't judge, because when you judge, you're not being love. Your inner peace. Love is your inner peace. Judgment is all about power and this concept of making my individual self feel like I'm above others. Now, a lot of people would call that the ego, but I don't like to use the word ego very much because people think it means narcissism. You know, basically, it's just a matter of a balance of, do we love everyone, or do we love ourselves, or we only love everyone else but not ourselves? It's a balance of this self-identity. You know, this balance of self-identity to make themselves feel strong or powerful will say, I'm more spiritual than them. You know, I you know, recently my sister-in-laws, you know, 3 sister-in-laws and my 2 sisters went on a trip together. And on that trip, the one new sister-in-law was going to go to the Catholic Church to receive communion, but the other 2 Catholics were like, you can't, because you're not Catholic. You can't come to our church now. Well, that's a judgment, right? And it's these rules and regulations of only Catholics can have this Eucharist. Yeah, that my third sister-in-law said, "No, I'll just go to a different church and I'll get it." Went to a place where they were more accepting and more loving. Jeshua didn't judge. I mean, he was always with the poor and the lepers. In fact, he gets chastised in the Bible for talking to the lowliest of the low, for engaging them. Judgment builds walls and separation. Love breaks it down. Love bypasses the walls and separation. It puts you on the pathway to this moment of just being a loving expression. God is love, delivering love on earth. Judgment is not delivering God. It's breaking you away from the love, breaking you away from God. That judgment of others is absolutely 100% a falling away from spirituality. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com. Religions have institutionalized judgment. Original sin was we're built in shame, right? We come into the world with original sin. So we're brought into the world understanding we're already judged. There's a hierarchy of sins. You build in superiority. Jeshua said, "Let he who's without sin cast the first stone." The concept of "let he who is without sin cast the first stone" is literally putting it on its face, saying, "Look, I could judge you for the stuff that you've done too, but I'm not." And love doesn't require perfection. It requires acceptance and love and compassion. It accepts the idea that we're all equal. You can love someone without approving of all they do. Actions are the things you disapprove of, but that doesn't mean you judge them. Love is not passive. It's proactive. It's I am loving. It's like forgiveness. FORE dash giveness. Give love first. Jeshua, all through the Bible passages, he's constantly using compassion, not condemnation. He uses discernment over judgment. He assesses what's happening in the moment. Discernment equals wisdom. Judgment equals ego-based division. One leads to peace, the other is to pride. And when you go to that concept of pride, you're literally taking yourself out of the idea of inner peace. You're putting yourself into the struggle of a teeter-totter of feeling powerful. You want to ride on the power position, but the second you judge, you're no longer powerful. You're weak, because everyone who you're judging thinks poorly of you for judging. And that concept of that judgment being unloving means that they think of you as unloving. Every time you let go of a judgment, you step deeper into that expression of love, that feeling of love within you, that kingdom of heaven within you. The next time someone triggers you, ask, what am I afraid of? And if they're triggering you, ask yourself, what are they afraid of? Drop the judgment and let it go and overcome the fear, the anxiety, the stresses. If you've had a moment in your life where you realize that you've been judging someone and they're actually a good person at heart, share that story. Let us know how things change when you realize that people are where they are and you accept them where they are and how they are. There are family members of my own who have missed the opportunity to have a relationship because they won't accept others for who they are and what they believe. But I accept them for who they are and what they believe. They just don't accept me. And that's okay. Spirituality is a personal journey. I know in the end that they're living worse lives than I am because I'm constantly in this loving state, this joyful state. I'm keeping myself in the non-judgmental state. When you let go of judgment, you have the ability to be free because you're free of needing the validation. You're free from needing power, and you find true power within. Those delineations of judgment are literally sapping the power from you in all aspects of life. Simply love one another. Be in the loving state, and you have found one of the truest teachings of Jeshua. Love one another. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.